Welcome to another episode of VGN Weekly. Members of the Virtual Grip crew will recap the previous week's races and bring us one-on-one interviews with racers, league owners, and commentators, as well as others from within the sim racing community. Please like and subscribe to the channel and ring that notification bell so you don't miss any of our broadcasts. If you are a league owner or potential sponsor and have a broadcasting need, please visit virtualgrip.net for info on how to get in touch with us. Thanks for tuning in today. Now let's go find some grip.
With another action-packed week of racing behind us, let's take a quick look back on last week's race winners. Eric Teapot Stout dominated last Thursday's Red Light Racing Skidder Creek SK Modified Series event at Lanier National Speedway, a tight 3/8 mile oval known for close quarters racing and high tire wear. Stout led 98 of 100 laps from the pole to score his second straight win. He briefly lost the top spot to Josh Buckley on a restart, but quickly regained control and managed a steady gap the rest of the way. The win further extends his lead in the championship standings going into the next round. Then on Saturday night, the Bootleg Racing League's Late Model Series took on Five Flags Speedway, a 1/2 mile oval in Pensacola, Florida known for chewing up tires and testing driver patience. Chris Davis, known as Mr. Aggressive, started back in 12th but methodically carved his way to the front, taking the lead with 49 laps to go. Once in clean air, Davis checked out, managing his tires and cruising to his first win of the season in dominant fashion. The virtual week closed out on Sunday night with the OBRL, presented by Victory Lane Sports, rolled into Sonoma Raceway for round 20 of Season 8 in the Yesteryear Cup Series, and Andrew Kotska put on a clinic. The 12-turn technical road course in California is known for punishing mistakes and rewarding precision. Kotska had plenty of the latter. Starting from the pole, he led all 50 laps, never giving up the top spot. He cruised to his second consecutive win, crossing the line a commanding 18 seconds ahead of the field in a dominant performance. Now looking ahead to what's coming up this week on VGN. It all kicks off Thursday, July 17th at 8 p.m. Eastern as Red Light Racing Skidder Creek SK Modified Series heads to Myrtle Beach Speedway, a worn-out, abrasive short track where tire management is everything. On Saturday, July 19th, the Bootleg Racing League's Late Model Series takes on Langley Speedway, a flat technical track in Virginia, known for tight racing and minimal margin for error. Green flag drops at 9:15 p.m. Eastern. Then, on Sunday, July 20th at 8 p.m. Eastern, the OBRL drivers tackle the high banks of Dover Motor Speedway, a fast, unforgiving concrete mile that's earned its nickname, the Monster Mile. And don't miss the next episode of VGN Weekly, airing Tuesday at 9 a.m. Eastern, featuring special guest Louis Flowers from Red Light Racing. Now stick around. After the break, John Heyn will be joined by this week's guest, Cortney Nelson from the OBRL.
Welcome back to VGN Weekly, and I am excited this week. We are going to have the OBRL's very own Cortney Nelson joining us here. And Cortney, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Well, Cortney, real quick before we get into the show, tell us a little bit about you, kind of the iRacer give me a little bit of background, how long you've been in iRacing and kind of what you're doing right now and what you're focusing on.
I think I joined 2022. I was about 3 months into iRacing and joined the OBRL, and pretty much dabbled in a few other leagues, did some officials and stuff like that. But this is the place to be.
Well, you know what? You're always running up front, always make the races interesting. So it's been fun to watch you this year. You've got to win. And, to kind of give a background for everybody, OBRL follows the Cup schedule. That's what we broadcast Sunday nights. You guys follow the Cup schedule. You guys even have a chase like what the guys do on the Cup side in the real world. So you're locked in the chase. What has been since locking in? Have you had a focus on, is it getting more wins? Is it just getting ready for the chase? What have you been focused on since you've locked in?
Well, I locked in early on the Coda road course and was just trying to get another win. I think I got a second one at Pocono.
Oh, you did. That's right. Yep. Sorry.
And just I had a stint there that, man, I couldn't buy a finish. I was either I'm making mistakes or getting caught up with somebody, and just the finishes, the speed was there, but the finishes weren't even close. So I've been just trying to not push it, just see what the races will give me, and just try not to make mistakes on my end to hopefully get a decent finish.
Well, locking in early in the season, though, I mean, that's got to take an immense amount of pressure. You from that point on, you knew, hey, I'm going to be part of the championship thing. Tell me about the pressure, after you got the win, and even going before it, where okay, we've got to win to get there. Did it change the way you race at all? I mean, are you willing to take more chances now, or is it, can you give me kind of a before and after picture?
I knew any of the road courses is my probably most chances for me to get a win. I run decent on ovals and stuff like that, and but I knew going to Coda that was high pressure because I knew that if I executed, I could get locked in and everything else. And I've just been trying to work on the oval program after, just trying to really see if I can run with the Dwaynes and the Joshes, the Toms. You know what I mean? Just see if I can keep pace with them on the oval. So that's mainly my focus has been after locking in. Is now, okay, if I don't win, it's not the end of the world, but how do I make some adjustments to keep running with them in areas that I'm not as strong?
Well, I'm going to say mission accomplished, because I mean, even when you weren't getting the finishes you wanted to, and you were talking about, the bad luck, your pace has always been there. I mean, week in and week out, as I get ready, because I'm fortunate enough to get to do those broadcasts on the night. You're one of the guys that I look at, where are you starting, because usually some point in time you're going to make your presence known. You sound like you came, your road racing is kind of your niche, but how about your progression on your ovals? I mean, where did the pace come from? What did you need? Did you have an aha moment that allowed you to pick up that pace?
When I first joined the OBRL, like the 1 lap pace, I could qualify decent. I could, not realizing that, like when I was a triple digit, I'd start in the back. I'd be in the top 10 in a few laps. And then 25 laps later, I was back where I started, right? So that's getting a 1 lap pace and to be competitive with some of the other fast guys. Even when I joined, was not as difficult as it was to find long run pace. You know what I mean? So when I joined, road racing was not my strong suit. I think.
Oh, really?
No, my first race in OBRL at a road course, I think I finished 10th, a lap down to Dwayne and Josh, and it just, because I wasn't as competitive on the ovals, I started working on the road, going, well, I'm a top 10, maybe a top 5 car on the ovals. A lot of people don't do the road races, so if I can get decent at the road, I can leapfrog some points and finish higher up in the points than I would if I didn't do the road.
That is fascinating. So I would have guessed just by your lead in that, the road was kind of your forte then. So that is actually an interesting strategy, and it's smart. So how did you learn? How did you go about doing the road racing? Because I know there's a lot of guys in that particular league that the road races for them is, hey, can I survive? Not competitive. They're not worried about that. They're just worried about getting to the end. What did you
Yeah.
do to improve on those then?
I watched some YouTube videos, really worked on figuring out, because the car doesn't turn, right? And my advantage in road racing, I've done some like 24-hour races with Josh and Tom and this and that. And the advantage that whatever I have figured out on the road only is in stock cars, right? Like Josh, Tom, Andrew, Brian McRae. We did the 24 hours at Daytona, and we were all within the same lap times, right? So whatever it is that feels comfortable to me now in like an Arctic car, an Xfinity car, the trucks, the next gen car, whatever I got figured out because I couldn't explain it to you, there's an advantage there. You know what I mean? And I just really worked on what feels good to me, and all of a sudden there was pace.
Which car did you run at the Daytona?
The Porsche.
Okay, so GT3.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, and the braking between the two of those vehicles are wildly different.
They are.
But the techniques, braking with your wheel straight before you turn
Yeah.
in, all that to me, that's what's taught me doing road racing.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, I've never gotten to transfer it over to the Cup. So having those differences, and having said that, because even the power ratio, getting the power back down, how did you learn to do that stuff so well? Because like when I watched you guys at Chicago, those are, I mean, I know this encompasses most of the corners, but you either saw guys kind of wheel hopping a little bit to get in trouble into the corners, but where I saw most of the trouble was out of the corner, getting the power back down. A lot of single car loops and things like that
Mhm.
happened at Chicago for you guys. How did you figure out the power getting that down in those cars?
I use a lot of engine braking into the corner. Use
Mhm.
very little wheel input, so I pretty much steer it more or less. I talked to my teammate James about it. I steer more with my feet than I do the wheel. So I found it's easier to get the power down if you're not really turning the wheel back and forth. If you're not trying to force the car to do something. So out of the corner, the wheel's pointed more straight, so I can get on the power easier without it spinning or looping because the car's already pointed. It's not still trying to finish the corner while you're trying to put power down.
I have that thought process. It's just the execution parts where I mess that all up. So, um, easier. You just made it sound so easy, and I'm sitting here the whole time going, that's a whole lot, you know, easier said than done. But yeah, I mean, because when I've talked to a few guys, your name comes up at those road courses. So kudos for you to kind of take something foreign and learning it. That's not always easy to do, and you've done it successfully, so that's awesome. um on the going back to, like you said, the pressure not being there and maybe racing a little different and all that, can you describe though, like when you knew you had to win though, the strategy? I mean, I'd have to think that, when do you pit? I mean, the small things like that I would have to think are even more stressful before you locked in. Was that, do you find that to be the case?
It is because I forgot what track we were at where me and Josh tried to pit early. I think it was at was it Kansas? Either way, where we got a lap down because of something happened with iRacing and stuff because we were locked in.
Yes. We
I,
were trying
I,
to figure that out on the podcast, because it was, or not the podcast, but the broadcast, because I think it was Kansas where iRacing
no,
didn't open the pits, right? Wasn't it? It
yeah,
was,
you have to
or was
enter
it
on the back.
Kentucky? Or was it Kentucky?
It
It
could
might
have
have been
been.
Kentucky.
It could have
It's
been.
one of
But me
those,
and Josh,
but that's the situation though, right? That iRacing never opened the pits.
yeah, my screen said it was open. We go in there and got a 40-second hold for entering a closed pit. There was a whole. We were trying to figure out what it was and everything about it, but like making that judgment call was like, well, I could leapfrog if we get the right cautions, this and that. And when I don't need to just ride to get a good finish, right? I can take a little bit of a chance here, and it bit us. But in the end, I was like, it's not the end of the world, because you got as good a finish as you could, but you're not as upset because you're still locked in for the last 10 races.
How are you feeling about the chase at this point? I mean, you can look ahead, see the tracks in there. I mean, do you have any that are circled that, hey, these are the tracks that I need to get good finishes at, and these are the ones that I need to stay out of trouble?
I think Gateway's in there. I don't have the schedule up, but I did look at them. I like Darlington. The Gateway, no, I'm just going to try to get as best finish as I can. There's a road course in there, so if I can make it to that second round, I'm pretty happy about that, because I think it's Watkins Glen, and no, it's the Roval, and that's one of my favorites.
Yeah, Charlotte. Yeah. When you get there, it's funny because, for those that you don't know, the regular season ends, the playoff starts. And again, that whole scenario, the win to get in, well, it's the win to move on to the next round, or you've got to point your way. Well, each of those get more difficult as the field kind of progresses. The less guys that you have to have to point your way around as you go through, and the wins, this league, let's just be honest, this league, wins are hard to come by. I know MacArthur went on a pretty good little run there, which coincided with your bad luck, but he went on a pretty good little run there. But you don't normally see that in this league. It's a very, I hate to use the word parity, because parity, I don't know, I associate that with mediocrity a little bit, but I think there's so many good guys that it's just not easy. I'd rather say that. And so when you get there, I mean, how does that? Can you feel that intensity like starting to grow as you guys are getting closer? And once it gets there, how are you going to cope with that?
The intensity, because I feel once the playoffs start, right, the 16 of us are going to try everything we can to finish this up to prevent from being eliminated. So I think the intensity around each other, trying to push, maybe you might try to do an off strategy to leapfrog them, or push it a little harder than you normally would, due to passing some of these guys is just extremely difficult. And then keeping the pass is a whole another deal. So I think it's going to be, the intensity will pick up for sure once it hits. At least for me, I'll try to maybe not ride as much, try to get that position a little bit earlier.
Yeah, I mean, I know on the real world side of things, getting to the playoffs, and each round you go through means millions of dollars to each of those teams. So, I mean, that alone, and of course, sponsors demands about moving on and stuff like that. So, for those guys, the level of pressure and intensity, quadruples over the regular season. But for you guys, you have still, it takes a long-term commitment here. I mean, we're just like those guys. You guys race every week. You're following their schedule. So when you get there, you've got a whole season that you've committed to, and, all the practice, all that kind of stuff, and all that line. So I would just imagine, the intensity is going to pick up on the track. So, as you get closer to it, though, are you? What do you have teammates? Let me ask you that, because I know I should know that, but I think you've.
Yeah,
Who are your teammates?
the number 92, James Hislop.
Hislop, that's right. So you and James, are you guys? Now I know you don't want to mess somebody else up. But you also teammates take the opportunity to help each other. I mean, and I know the guys in this league, nobody's going to screw somebody else over to help a teammate. But if they can push a teammate or something, to help, maybe even get out of that teammate's way and switch places on the track, that kind of stuff. Are you guys having those conversations, or are you just going to go run it straight up?
I wouldn't let him win, right? Like if I was running in the lead and he was needing to get a good finish or anything like that, like he'd have to earn something like that. But I've been in races like got some damage, lap down, but got the car fixed, and been the person pushing him, or been the car in front of him trying to pass people so that he can follow through, working together for sure. But I don't think either one of us would give each other a position on the racetrack.
James, he just locked himself in though, if I remember correctly. Didn't he just pick up
He
a
did.
win? Yeah.
Yep.
It was I think it was Kentucky was where he got it. Or no, I don't know.
No, Atlanta.
Yeah, I do so many of these things. So, but yeah, yeah. So you both are locked in. So that's kind of cool.
Yep.
There'll be an inter team rivalry then once it starts. Bragging rights. Hey, I moved on, you didn't, or hey, who's gonna be the champion, or any of that happening?
We definitely throw some stuff back and forth, and like during the week practicing and stuff like that. Yeah, it's definitely a rivalry, if you want to call it, or just competitive, right? He runs a faster lap, and I'm going out there to try to run a little bit faster. Or if I see him on the track, I push a little harder to get by him, just to key him on the radio and say, "Speed up."
Well, you guys. The cool thing about OBRL is it's just not a Sunday night deal. You guys have got this long commitment with the Sunday night races and all that, but OBRL runs ARCA on Monday, the trucks on Wednesday, the Xfinity on Thursday, I think it is. Are you competitive? No, I don't want to say competitive, but are you running any of those other series?
I've been this season of the new ARCA car. I've been running. I think I missed one race, but I've been running there for points on Monday nights. I run the trucks on and off, like a select road course or like a Darlington, or if I've got a night free, I'll run the Xfinity and the trucks, but I don't run them for points. But it's the same as Sunday, extremely competitive, and just a lot of the same guys run all week.
Yeah, I've popped in a couple of the week races and done myself, and it is a lot of the same guys, and the same guys are fast in all of them. Do you have a favorite though between them all? I mean, are you running Sundays just because that's the best time schedule wise? But do you have a favorite car between all of those?
My favorite car used to be the Xfinity car, and then I got a new rig set up and direct drive wheel and stuff like that. Got everything set up, and now I got the feel that I like. And honestly, Sundays is for me the feel and everything else. That's the car I like the most, and that's counter to a lot of the guys in the league. They don't really like the next gen car, but I really enjoy it.
Yeah, I've had a couple of them. Run the Xfinity. That's where it's at. So I know there's a lot of the Xfinity fans littered throughout that field. So, which is really cool. I mean, and it's and for anybody watching, and if you're a fan of NASCAR and stuff like that, the OBRL is it's a cool community. I mean, they've allowed me to even come in and run some of those during the week, and it's such a good group of guys. It's so much fun to run with those guys. So I do recommend anybody out there, go look up the OBRL there in iRacing and, get involved. It's a great league. So one of the challenges though, mid-season here, and I kind of wanted to touch on this here probably for a great deal because this is the part that I think I'm most interested in. Just as a fan, as a broadcaster, iRacing threw you guys for a curve on this last build. Put a whole new, tire model on the car, changed the way some of the aero moves around some of these, especially I think all the NASCAR classes. What has been for you the most difficult thing to get a hold of?
For me, it's been the aero change. Like I think when we switched it at Kentucky, before the air would make you tight, you would develop a push, or you could kind of counter it by getting some clean air on the nose, and it was predictable. I remember in practice at Kentucky, I believe it was Jerry. I got right on his bumper, and it spun him out, and I didn't even touch him. And he did the same thing to me. Got real close. I mean, he was probably a foot or so off the back on corner entry, and it was planted, and it just went around. Right, like that's been the most difficult thing for me it's unpredictable of what exactly it's going to do, so you can't just do it.
Yeah, I remember because I ran the truck race with OBRL at Atlanta, and moving that air around, I mean, that just caught me completely off guard. And I don't know if you felt that in the practice, but one of the things that I have to give iRacing credit for, I mean, they upped the difficulty with this air stuff, but in that truck, you could actually feel the air push against the back of the car and move it. You could feel the air actually moving your car around.
Mhm.
And whereas before, if someone got close enough, it was probably going to end up being a net code incident, which from the driver's standpoint makes it feel like you just get hit and you turn
Yes.
around. But,
Mhm.
I had somebody pack the air on the bed of the truck. And I mean, I literally felt that truck just move right on around, and it
Yep.
was incredible. Are you feeling it that pronounced in the Cup car?
I noticed it, maybe not as that it's moving the car, but even like before, if you got clean air on the nose or you were like under somebody,
Mhm.
you really didn't. To me, I didn't feel the air as much until you're on corner exit when you're trying to put the power down and you realize you don't have as much downforce on the rear and you're spinning the tires. Because I love running the bottom, so I noticed that huge. What I notice now when you're alongside somebody going into the corner, if you're side by side real tight, you have very little to no downforce. What you do when you're not alongside somebody, I notice a huge difference.
Yeah, it is, and that's the thing you hear on Sundays with real life counterparts
Mm-hmm.
is, "Wow, he got next to me and just sucked me around." That's
Yep,
a thing now in iRacing,
it
and
is.
I don't know how they figured that out up there in Connecticut, but incredible how they've done
Mm-hmm.
that. There's some tracks that are coming up. I mean, you got Daytona again, Talladega, and I
Yeah.
know Atlanta is a plate track now,
Mhm.
but it's a whole different beast than Talladega and Daytona.
Yes,
How do you think that that's going to play when you get to those tracks?
I think it's going to be extremely different. I'm not a huge fan of the plate tracks. Not I muscle through it type deal. So
Yeah.
I don't know a lot of the stuff like the 18 and 42. They run Bill and Fish. They got the plate tracks figured out. They're always up front on those tracks.
Mhm.
Whatever they got figured out, I think they'll manipulate it pretty good. But I'm just for me, I think it's going to be more the same, right? I'm not going to notice as much as they would notice because they're able to push and work the air and they know stuff that I don't.
Well, the other big change then too was the tire model. They changed the tire model, and now whereas before you could, exit pit road, get up on the track, and pretty much drop the hammer. You maybe
Yeah.
had to wait maybe a corner or two before the tires come in. Now you got to wait a couple, 2, 3 laps before they come in, and they're wearing different and everything else. Um, what has your thoughts been on the new tire model?
I actually do not mind it. And I think it's because when I take off a little bit more gingerly, I guess, when I'm on cold tires out of pit stop, firing off on a restart or something like that. So I don't overheat the tires, which didn't benefit me in the old tire model, to where if you didn't slide the tire and overheat it, you could pretty much run pretty consistent laps. So if this tire, I found if you take it nice and easy, get it warmed up, and don't really abuse it the first 5 laps, it really pays dividend at lap 25 or 30.
I know part of iRacing thought where they keep developing new tire models because eventually, there's a lot of tracks that are, I hate to use the word follow the leader, but a good tire model opens that opportunity for passing. If they, when it gets, the more they refine it and things like that. Are you finding that since it's switched, are you, to your knowledge, are you running different lines? Is it forcing you to do different things on track to keep them under you?
Uh, I am not good at switching lines up, so I kind of find a line that I like. I, I,
Mhm.
I try and practice and stuff like that, but I find that if I'm nice to it at the beginning, I can run my line and the car feels the same, but there's tire fall off, and it might not be benefit me to where like a Josh that who can he can run the top, he can run the middle, the bottom, whatever lane needs to be ran to save a tire or to gain speed. Where I don't have that skill set, where I put my tires on the white line and hopefully it works out.
Well, the white line is usually the shortest way around and the quickest way around, so that's not necessarily a bad strategy. Um, you know, you talk a lot about some practice and things like that. So, I mean, do you guys do a team practice during the week? How do you get prepared for those Sunday night races?
Yeah, I do some AI. Me and James will do some hosted team sessions. We share our telemetry, go through stuff. So if he's running faster or more consistent on the long run, I can kind of see what he's doing and try to implement it. We have two drastically different driving styles, so it's kind of hard to implement. What works for me doesn't necessarily work for him, and he just tries to duplicate it the best he can, or vice versa. So there is quite a bit. Like this week, we have done a lot of practice for tonight's race, just for the fact of it. It's going to be tricky.
And you guys, everybody knows that we record this over the weekend, so you guys have got Sonoma tonight, so you can, so by the time if everybody sees this, it'll be in the rearview mirror, but that's okay.
Yeah.
The road courses, again, this is back in your wheelhouse. What have you, since I can ask you now, and it's not going to go to air, you're not going to give away any secrets, but what have you learned? What have you learned so far practicing this week with Sonoma? Because that's a vastly different track than the streets of Chicago. You've got elevation, you got all kinds of different stuff coming at you.
Yeah, I struggled when I first got there, especially with the temperatures that we were seeing. The new tire is drastically different. Like for me on road courses, when we were at Coda, I ran, I think, my fastest lap of the race at the end of a tire run, where that's not going to happen, right? Like the tire fall off. It's trying to manage the tire fall off. I dug myself a hole after last weekend getting a penalty, so I have to start in the back. So that's what I've been working on this week: how to pass, how to do it cleanly, how to make lap time over a full stint, not necessarily how do I qualify up front.
I know where Zach and I are going to have a storyline now. Follow your exploits, but it's funny too, because I mean, all ovals aren't created the same, but I've kind of felt like they're the same because you're doing the same things, you're just doing them at different times.
Yeah.
Road courses are vastly different. You're shifting, you're downshifting, you're all the things that go into it. Do you have a favorite type of down course? Because I ask guys, do you like short tracks? Do you like super speedways? Do you like the plate tracks? For road courses, you got like Watkins Glen, which I would say is almost a super speedway of road courses.
Yeah.
Sonoma is almost like a Bristol of road courses, close quarters and everything else. So and then you have the street course. Do you have a favorite style of road course you like? I mean, you got the ovals the Roval that's sitting out there at Charlotte. So is there one that suits you the best?
Speed wise, I think is the best speed I've had is at Watkins Glen, but it's not necessarily the one I like to drive. I really like racing Sonoma. I really like Coda, right? And I don't.
So you're that guy. I knew there had to be one guy in iRacing that liked Coda. I'm glad that I found him.
Yep. What was it? The year before, Josh beat me. So when we were coming to it this year, I was like, I need to get a win here. I really enjoy it because it's technical. It's more getting in a rhythm, more like if you want to call it like a Martinsville, right? You get in that rhythm, you just start clicking laps off. Sonoma's the same way, right? If you miss your rhythm, you can lose half a second that lap. So it's just all about getting in a rhythm, letting the car pretty much do what it needs to do instead of trying to force it.
Real quick, kind of almost like a side thing here, but you talked about Coda. So did you like them shortening the track, or would you rather be on that longer version, like the F1 version that you guys have been running?
I thoroughly enjoyed the long version, right? Just finishing off the S's off that side and going down to, I forgot what turn number that is, that real sharp.
Yeah, and then it leads on to that long straightaway there on the backside.
But the rhythm that you had to have to go through that short chute to get to the shorter back stretch, I mean, you had to hit it just right, or you lost gobs of time. You know what I mean? It was very technical, so I enjoyed that part. But if I had to pick, I would say I enjoyed the full length because the lap times really weren't too far off from each other. Because I think we were running like 1 minute 45 versus like the 2:15.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. I just, the only thing is, that I thought of when I saw it is, boy, they took away two really, really good braking zones and passing zones there at the end of that one stretch, being able to pass right there. That was such a great opportunity. But it was entertaining to watch both in real life and the show that you guys put on. Uh, so, you know, you talked also about having a penalty this week. Can I ask what your penalty was for?
At the end of the race, when I hit Mike, I missed it.
Oh,
There were 2 laps to go, and I was using the arrows on the front stretch for my braking markers. So the second set of arrows that were on the track, the turning arrows on the street, was my brake point. Well, I passed the second set thinking it was the first set. So I hit the brakes, I put it into the wall, trying not to hit him, and I ended up running into him, running for fifth. Complete accident and everything else. But even with me doing my SPP and everything else, it's you make contact. Next week you get a
yeah.
EOL
Well,
for
and
that.
I wasn't asking to kind of put you on the spot, throw you under the bus or anything, but
Oh no, you're
that's
fine.
another aspect of that OBRL that I think makes it a great league is that penalty system. It
Yeah,
holds guys accountable on track,
I
and
believe
it
so.
it works very, very well because you guys, I still cannot wrap my head around how you guys went caution free at Darlington of all places. I mean,
Yeah.
freaking Darlington.
Mhm.
Um, so tell me a little bit about that structure in the fact that there's that accountability built in, especially for guys that might be thinking about having a league and how they approach and how they kind of, I hate to say keep the law and order in there, but
Yeah.
having that system and having it, I guess I'll say, as rigid as what it is, how does that change your mindset on the track?
In the beginning, you could say it was frustrating because you're not doing it on purpose. But what I come to realize with it, like you're the one with the steering wheel, the brake pedal, and the gas pedal, right? Do not ruin somebody else's race, and that's what all the admins preach. It was a very hard learning curve for me because I'm just like, well, the gap's there, and you're trying to push, right? But
Yep.
it's learn that don't use, don't drive over your head, pretty much. And that's what a
Oh,
lot of it is. That's where a lot of the contact happens is people driving more than they should, harder than they should in that moment and making a mistake.
yep. So what I'm hearing there is that system teaches you racecraft. Sometimes
Immensely.
it just, yep, that's just because, there's, like you said, that hole is there. Sometimes it's the smart thing is not to take it. You got to understand
Yeah.
where you're at on the track, what the end game is. Once you get there, where you got to go, what's going to happen. All that stuff has to process. If it doesn't, you're not going to last long. Um,
Yes.
so I like the system. I mean, even the one that I even had where I'm got that air taken off of me, but I ended up taking a guy or two with me when I lost control of my car, and I got the penalty, which is
Yep.
fantastic. Again, like you said, the wheel's in my hand. At the end
Yes.
of the day, I'm responsible for the four corners of my truck at that time, or car, or wherever you're running.
Mhm.
Um, so anybody that wants to get into OBRL, you talked about the triple digit, having a triple digit on your car. You're now, whenever you tune in tonight or on Sunday nights, they can find you driving the 78. Tell us about the triple digit. What was that process? What is that process, and what does it mean? And how did you get through it?
Uh, the way it reads is it's a probationary period for new drivers just to see if 12 races, I believe, over 4 series or 6 races in 1 series. Uh, you have to hold the triple digit. You don't qualify. You run in the back, and it's all about seeing how you race, incident points, incidents per lap, incidents per race. Right? Do you finish races? It's to see how you fit in this group, not how fast you are.
And that is an outstanding. There's a lot of different ways to do that too. I mean, some people have what they call feeder series. Maybe not non-broadcast, so guys can go in there, cut their teeth within the league, see if they're good guys before they bring them up into the one where leagues have invested, broadcasters, things like that. Yours is actually really good too because, hey, if it's not working, people can you go ways here, and there's nothing, gain, nothing lost. So, how nerve-wracking was it trying to get through that though and earn your stripes? Because I'm a triple digit, and boy, that's in the back of my mind every time I line up, and it's got to be because I'm in the back of the pack every time we line up.
And I think I could have done a lot better as a triple digit with the experience I have now. But I was in there, could make single lap pace, really was aggressive. Right, not necessarily running people over, but I would make mistakes. So it was very stressful for me because I was quicker, but I was driving way over my head because I went, well, I'm in the back. I need to be in the top 10 or the top 5 on lap 5, right? So I drove when I first started very aggressively, and over the years being here, it's taught me if you're patient, you'll still get those passes, right? Like by racing clean, and it's taught me pretty much the racecraft that I have has been taught here.
Yeah, and with this new tire model and everything else, you're gonna have the opportunities to pass. That's for sure. Just for those that might be thinking about how long was your probationary period? I know it probably varies from driver to driver depending on how starts and all that stuff. But just how long was yours? Do you remember?
I think I raced every single race I could, so like 4 a week till I got my 12. So, however, I was racing Mondays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays just to get the 12 count. So
Okay.
I think I got mine for that 3 weeks, something like that. 3-4 weeks, about a month is probably, if I had to guess, because I was racing as many races as I could to get rid of that triple digit number.
What made you settle on the 78? I mean, you're wearing an Earnhardt shirt, but you've also got the 78 hat. So why 78?
We were looking because I think at the start of the season, I'm a RCR fan, Earnhardt fan, BEI fan. So I had the 33, and I was running more or less kind of trying to run like RCR type of paint schemes and this and that. I'm from Colorado, so I went, well, 78. So that's where like 5-hour energy and the furniture row came in because I really liked. I requested a number change in the beginning of the season, going, well, I should have probably picked this number to begin with. I made the mistake, and the admins allowed me to switch it. But that's where the 78 comes from, being from Colorado, it being a Colorado team.
Yep, Barney, was it Barney Visser? His team, that was his team that had it, and unfortunately, we lost Barney. I think here recently, didn't we? A year or two ago. So, but boy, I'll tell you, that was a magical season though. Watching Truex wheel that car though, that was a pretty cool season all around there, and it's a good story too. You think of the lineage of drivers that have come through that seat at various times in their careers and all that. I mean, that was a very decorated car. So yeah, and unfortunately, I think the way NASCAR's set up, I don't think you're going to see that again. Especially, I mean, I guess with the charters, because of the charters and everything else. Yeah, small town team like that. But yeah, to your point, for those that don't know, that team was actually the Lone Cup team, not based like in the Charlotte area. They were off in Colorado doing their own thing. And man, I can't imagine the logistics it took to run that team out of that shop. Because at that time, a majority of the races were out on the East Coast.
So the West Coast swing that was probably they only benefited
three
on
races.
That. Yep, and then after that they had quite the haul the rest of the season.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of cool. You're from Colorado, then. I got to ask this: have you ever gone over to Pikes Peak?
I have not.
That's a bucket list for me. I want to go out to see the Pikes Peak race one time, man. That's got to be way cool to go to.
I've heard about it quite a bit.
Where are you at in Colorado?
Grand Junction.
Oh, okay. You got a racetrack there. You got a little dirt track over there. You got a dirt track around there too.
The Olathe track is closed down.
Oh, they closed it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the one in Hayden, it closed down as well.
I did not know those closed. The Ogatha, or however you pronounce it. That's the one I think I was
Yeah.
thinking of. That's kind of in your neighborhood. That recently closed, and that like within the last couple of
Mhm.
years. Then,
Yeah. So we go to the one in Price. That's where I grew up in Utah.
Mhm.
They finally turned Desert Thunder into an IMCA track, and then the one
Oh,
in Vernal.
so it's a
Because
dirt track.
yes, it's a 3/8 mile.
Nice.
Uh, and we just ended up buying, was it 2 or 3 months ago? I just bought a modified.
Oh, really? Well,
I
how
did.
cool is that? Tell us about that real fast. That's awesome.
Growing up in Price, I always wanted to race dirt. Right, my work schedule, money wise. Growing up, I did drag racing instead because that was the only thing I could afford because my drag car was my car I drove. I took my wife down to Price to show her the dirt track, and she said, "I'm good with us being done drag racing." And then that weekend, we ended up buying a car.
You have one of the best wives in the country. I'm just going to say that right now. So she watches this. On behalf of all racing husbands out there, you are awesome. So, um,
Yeah.
so how are the results coming? I mean, learning curve, all that kind of stuff. Because I
I
mean,
haven't got
dirt's
to,
an interesting thing to have to do.
and see, for me, I've done drag racing
Hmm.
in my street cars and stuff, but I've actually never sat in an actual stock car or race car in my entire life. So when we bought this, it ended up being they used to run a 305 series at that
Hmm.
track that wasn't IMCA sanctioned. We bought one of those cars, and it ended
Okay.
up being a Southern modified chassis,
Okay.
and it's a Northern modified, like sport mod class that we run down here. So I got a turnkey car, but we're back half in it, putting the quick change rear end, and because it's got the stock Chevy 4-link in the rear. So we've got a lot of work to do, and we're planning on racing it next season. So
Oh, nice.
we're building the
Okay.
engine, and we're back half in the rear suspension right now, and just refabricating everything and getting it back on the track.
You know, you talk about the 305, and that's essentially, if I'm not mistaken, that's a crate engine basically sealed, so you're not, people aren't having to, you don't have to go out and spend $40,000 on a motor to run and be competitive.
Yeah,
And those, I am such a big fan of those. I mean, I know everybody likes seeing the World of Outlaw, Lucas Oil late models, all the big power, all that kind of stuff. But I have never understood why they don't leave those guys to run those open things. And if you own a dirt track, you want cars, spec motors are the way to go. Guys don't pile a
yeah,
whole lot. The motors themselves are sealed, so you can't easy to tech. I mean, you
yep,
can't go in there and mess with it. I mean, I think about the only thing you do is go in, change the valve springs. I think that's about all the engine work you really got to do. And then, like you
pretty
said,
much.
get the gearing. And that's
Yep,
for those that don't know. You just crawl up under the car, you unscrew two things, and you put two cylinders in your gear, and you're done.
yep,
Um, so that is cool. We are gonna have to have you back when you get into that car, and whatnot. And if you
yep.
want to get any kind of feel, over BRL, we're running on Friday nights dirt. You can come get some dirt experience. Come run with us on
Absolutely.
Friday.
I'd be willing
Um,
to do that. When we bought the car, because I'd never raced dirt on, not really on iRacing. I went and
mhm.
got in the UMP modified and turned some laps and was farting around with it. So it's completely new to me, completely different set of a skill set. But yeah, I'd be up for that just to
We run the
see where
dirt
it's
late
at.
models. When this is over, I'll send you a link. Come on,
Yeah,
and we'll
yeah,
have a good time. And I'll help you with anything you need on that front. Um,
I appreciate that.
so that's I mean, that is cool. I mean, I'm a big proponent of dirt. Um, I raced late models for a number of years on dirt. So I mean, it's something
Oh,
that's near and dear to my heart and things like that. So um, the fact that you're IMCA, I can probably let that slide. But I'm over here in UMP country.
okay.
But back in the and I, here's and I, I've mentioned kind of bagged on IMCA, but way back in the day, and I don't think it's this way anymore, but way back in the day, IMCA had what they called a claim rule, and
They
somebody
still
at your
have it.
local, they still have it.
It's
Like
in the rule
500
book.
bucks,
Yeah,
500 bucks, you can go claim a guy's motor.
I think it's 1,000 or 1,500 now. But like in the modified class we're going to be running, Because I'm not doing the sport mods, I'm doing the modified, because the amount of money it's going to take me to build a sport mod out of this car, it cost me the same amount of money to put it into a modified, so why build it twice type of thing.
Yeah.
I looked at the rules. They have a crate motor and a spec motor that can't be claimed. If you run the open motor, that can be.
Okay.
They can claim your shocks.
Yeah, I knew the shocks. Yeah, that just always rubbed me the wrong way. I never liked it, and I had a buddy of mine that wasn't doing anything, to his car to make it illegal or anything like that. He was just a really good driver. I mean, a really, really good driver. And, $500 at that time did not buy a new motor. And they went up and they put the money up. And if you don't relinquish your motor, you're parked for that particular track and that. And it was like, how do I do this? Because I have $500, I can't go buy a new motor. And and like I said, that always, and I understand the theory behind it. You don't want somebody showing up with a $30,000 motor, stinking to show up every week because, hey, he can afford it. It's to keep a level. It's to keep a level playing field, and I get all of that. But I think you can do that by making the rule book that way, because, like I said, your crate motors, they're sealed. I mean, they come from GM, and the bolts on them are literally, you have to have a tool from GM or whoever you get your crate motor from to unseal it. It's not something you can go buy at Home Depot to get your motor cracked open to do any funny business. I mean, I know there's some things that some engine builders that are the distributors can go in and scope them. And you can get about 25, 30 more horsepower out of them. But that's my there's my spiel on IMCA and why I've never I get the rule. I get the rule. I do. I don't like it though. I just think because if a guy like you've got your car, you got it all set up. Somebody comes out and claims your motor, they just added a huge extra expense to your car. It's not making you whole, it's screwing you over.
Well, then for me, I like with my drag cars, like I build the cars from the ground up. I build the motors, right? The only thing I don't touch is the transmission. So like the motor in this car, we're tearing it down. I'm in the open area spec of that class because I don't have the funds to build a spec motor. But if I go build that, somebody coughs up $1,500 and takes it, and I get theirs, right? I'm just not okay with it. Because the amount of time and energy that I put in there, that $1,500 doesn't even pay for the labor, let alone replacing it.
Yeah, and see, I started seeing guys that knew that their engine had a problem in it and would go claim another motor to get rid of the bad engine. I mean, I saw that in a couple things, and then it's just like, and I understand there's a process now where people inspect the motors when they're going back and forth between the parties and things have to be signed off, all that kind of stuff. But like I said, but that's my spiel on the IMCA. So I'm sure if anyone from IMCA wants to contact me, sorry, that's my opinion. So, yep. But what are you most excited about by going to run the dirt? I mean, that's quite a sea change, going from the straight line and the disciplines and everything else. So what are you most excited about?
I'm excited for the feel, right? Like our drag car wasn't super fast, but it made 850 horsepower, right? So the feeling the seat taking off, that 60 foot, right? I want to feel side to side, right? We used to, the car I have right now, handling, ripping it around corners, that kind of stuff. I want that feel, right? Get thrown around in the seat, throw a car around the dirt, just going and having fun. I want that kind of feel in the what do you want to call it? The same feel I get in my sim rig, minus you get the G-force. You know what I mean?
Yep.
That kind of stuff.
I can tell you what you're looking for is just what you said. The seat of your pants feel is completely different because the first time you go to throw that car in, where the dragster, I'm going to assume that the G-forces pushed you back and kind of down into your seat. You had that kind of going back where you kind of into your seat.
Yep.
On dirt, it wants to push you back into the seat, but out of the seat. It wants to throw you out the window. And it's it's a cool feeling. You'll enjoy that, and then learning to rip the lip and do all that kind of stuff. Have a lot of fun, and Joe's probably like drag racing too. I would have to imagine that it's not going to be hard to figure out how to get around the track. It's when you get yourself in trouble and how to get out of trouble.
Exactly.
That's going to be where the big learning curve will probably come from. If you start to over rotate, where to go. So, like I said, you come run Friday nights, you'll pick up on some of that stuff, because I'll tell you, a lot of the stuff I do with my hands and feet aren't that different what I used to do in a dirt car. So
that's awesome. Yeah, no, I'll definitely come out. That sounds way fun.
So, well, we're almost wrapped up here, and I do want to thank you for taking the time out, because I know you've got a race here tonight and whatnot. So, I hope I'm not taking away your practice, but I do want to thank you for coming out. Real quick here, what is your what's your prediction? How are you going to do when we get to the chase? You got something for those guys to bring home a championship?
So I think it's going to be difficult. I think for me, my goal is to make it to the final four, right? And I think if I do what I need to do, it's possible. But with everybody here, it's so hard, even if you don't make mistakes, to just click off 10 weeks without a hiccup. You know what I mean? So I feel pretty confident making it past the first round, but it's going to be some heavy work to make it to that last round, I think, for me.
Awesome, man. I cannot wait to sit and watch you. And like I said, tonight, knowing where you're going to start, and I know this will be after the fact coming out, but it's going to be fun watching you on that track here tonight. So I know, knowing that you like the track and you're really good on the road stuff. So good luck to you tonight. And real quick, before I let you go, I always like doing a quick green light checker. So I'm going to do it real quick. I'm just going to, ask you a quick question. Just first thought, coming to your head. Okay. First thing, you're an RCR fan. What's your all-time favorite RCR paint scheme?
I would say Harvick's Atlanta scheme.
Okay. For me, Clint Boyer's Jack Daniels cars. Love those cars.
You got one.
You got one?
Thank you.
That is awesome. There she is. That's my favorite RCR scheme right there. You the man. Next question then, since you're in Colorado, skiing or snowboarding?
Neither. Yeah.
It's like living on an island and not knowing how to swim. You don't
I don't
ski?
go out in the snow unless I'm getting paid for it.
Okay. Interesting, but we'll have to dive into that on the next show. Well, and the last one that I have for you, are you at least a Broncos fan?
I don't really watch football.
You don't watch football. You're not a Broncos fan, and you don't ski, and you live in Colorado. I am confused right now. Well, how about this then? Who is your favorite RCR driver, excluding Earnhardt, of all time?
I would have to go with Harvick.
Harvick again? Very good.
Yep.
Well, awesome, Cortney. I appreciate you giving me the time, and thanks for playing along there. And I do want you back to once you get that dirt car going. I'll have a million questions on that front. We'll dedicate the whole show to iRacing versus real life. That's what that show will be: iRacing versus real life.
Yeah, that would be a good chicken pants.
Yep. So, well, I look forward to talking to you again. And like I said, best of luck tonight.
All right. Appreciate it, guys. Appreciate the time.
And everybody, I want to thank you again for joining us here on VGN Weekly. I am your host, John Heyn. And until next week, we'll see you then.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of VGN Weekly. Join us next time for race recaps, interviews, and much, much more. Please like and subscribe to the channel and ring that notification bell so you don't miss any of our broadcasts. If you are a league owner or potential sponsor and have a broadcasting need, please visit virtualgrip.net for info on how to get in touch with us. This has been a production of the Virtual Grip Network and the Skinner Creek Motorsports Group.